So in this class, we'll be able to like discuss directions in Hindi, directions that are covered in this lesson, in this song, and also like directions like east, west, north, and south. So I'm calling it part two, right? After directions, I plan to cover like simple demographic related vocabulary again. If you participated in the last class, we covered various demography such as like village, city, country, district, state. There are more demographic related vocabulary in this song. And after that, we'll be covering some adjectives in this class. Adjectives such as tall, short, thin, thick, um, some colors as well. After that, we'll be covering stages of life or age, basically childhood, adulthood, old age, because the song also covers those. And then we'll be covering relative pronoun afterwards. Relative pronoun that are covered in this song. We'll be covering those as well. Oftentimes people have asked me like, when do you use zo? You hear a keyword in Hindi called zo or jiska, jiski, jiske, or jaisa. All of them are nothing but relative pronoun, and we'll be covering that. So let's start with first with directions. Um, I'm going a little fast, but now I'm gonna pause and I'm gonna go slowly one by one into each of these topics. Okay, so give me one quick minute. Make sure that I mute all of you. And toward the end of the class, we'll open it up for panel discussion. So even if you've not heard of the song, what I would encourage you, like that, you Google the song and then have the lyrics in front of you ready. So again, the song is "Hey bhai, zara dekh kar." So just Google the song, have the lyrics in front of you, so that way you can sort of underline the vocabulary word we are learning. Okay. Part one. Okay. The first part of this class is directions, as I mentioned. Um, if you pay attention to the song, the writer is saying, "जरा देख कर चलो, आगे भी नहीं पीछे भी, दाएं भी नहीं बाएं भी," which apparently or which very clearly means the guy is talking about all the directions. Aage means in front of or in the front. It also means ahead, aage. Okay. Second one is piche. You can also think of aage as mere aage, ahead of me or in front of me. Okay. मेरे आगे कार है. Okay. आपके आगे पुलिस है. There's a cop in front of you. Okay. हमारे आगे बच्चा है. There's a kid in front of us. और हमारे आगे पार्क है. There's a park in front of us. That's what आगे means. In front of or ahead. पीछे. पीछे is behind. पीछे. Okay. मेरे पीछे. Okay. आपके पीछे. और आपके पीछे let's say elephant है. There's an elephant behind you. और आपके पीछे there's a फुटपाथ है. There's a footpath behind you. और आपके पीछे हॉस्पिटल है. Okay. Somebody is asking you where is the hospital, and you can reply, "आपके पीछे." It's right behind you, basically. Right? So that's पीछे. And again, feel free to use both all of the directions with any of the pronoun like आपके, मेरे, right? उनके, हमारे. That's a idea behind it. Then the next one is दाएं. When you say दाएं, there is a nasalized sound here as well. Like so that's just to remember it. Even though I'm not really writing it here, but there's a small nasalized sound right between A and Y, दाएं, and you write it like the da here with A, दाएं. दाएं is on in the right side basically, right? So my right hand is like मेरा दाया हाथ, okay? On my right hand side is मेरी मेरी दाईं ओर, okay? मेरी दाईं ओर हॉस्पिटल है, okay? और मेरी दाईं ओर रेलवे स्टेशन है. आपकी दाईं ओर हॉस्पिटल है और आपकी दाईं ओर पार्क है. Like there is a park on your right hand side. So it can be used independently or it can be used with or as well. Or when I say or, it means towards. So time or, so this difference between there are two types of or where you have one matra and then or you have two matra. One means and this one means towards. Okay. So when you say dying or like on the right hand side, basically, I'll erase it and I'll continue giving more example of diams. So I can say मेरी मेरी दाईं और पार्क है. Okay, मेरी दाईं और पार्क है. You can replace park with anything you want. Okay. Um, आपके can replace मेरी like basically you can replace this with any pronoun you want. And you can replace direction also. If you don't want to use uh, दाई, or you can say ऊपर, or whatever like the directions we've learned so far, which is आपके आगे, पीछे, and then दाई और. Okay. If you don't want to use दाई और, you can simply say आपके दाएं, दाएं में. There is a park on your basically right. Right. The next one is बायां. Next one is बायां. So the pen is not very clear. Okay, much better. Okay, so when you say baya, it means left. Baya. Okay, same thing as we did daya. You can say buying or, which means ba. So to your, or maybe not your, to the left, to the left. Okay. Meri, to my left would be Meri, बाईं ओर, मेरी बाईं ओर is my, to my left, and then to your left would be आपकी, आपकी बाईं ओर, to your left. Okay, feel free to write down any questions you may have so far on the directions. So far you covered आगे, पीछे, दाएं and बाएं. Next one have is ऊपर. ऊपर is up or above. ऊपर. Okay, same thing as before. मेरे ऊपर, आपके ऊपर, uh, plane. I mean, it's just a random example. मेरे ऊपर plane है, आपके ऊपर plane है, airplane है. Um, Basically, it means like there is a plane above you, or there is a plane above me. The idea here is like um, you should be able to use these basically a keyword, right? Or the direction related word. And feel free to practice it. You can write it down on your your chat box as well. Um, okay. So I'm gonna cover the next one, and then I'm gonna take one of the questions that is on the chat box. So that's upper, and then niche. Niche is down or downward, or basically below. Below. Okay. So write it as like knee with ch and then a sound. Niche. Niche. Okay. I'm gonna give example. Same thing here. As opposed to using the pronoun, I'm gonna use घर. घर is a house, right? घर के नीचे, and you can use anything here. घर के नीचे, and then you can also use. So if I were to think of something, I'm gonna say घर के नीचे. Let's say नाली है. Nali is nothing but like a sewer, basically sewer, or like sewage system, basically, right? Or I can use, let's say, hospital के नीचे. I'm gonna say anything. Foundations, foundation है, foundation of a hospital, right? So feel free to replace it with. I'm not able to come up with a good word here, but feel free to replace it with any more appropriate word in the sentence. But the idea here is like again direction. के नीचे. Okay. So there is a quick question: what is the how? What is the the difference in the pronunciation when you say or versus you know again or, right? So I mean it's very difficult to write the so this is like when I say or and this is or towards. You won't see, like, usually people when they are like on a day-to-day basis, you won't see that big of a difference in the pronunciation. However, it is two ow. So here you will see the sound of ow, a-u, versus here you will see the sound of o or ow, right? Aap or मैं, okay? Apple or banana, Seattle or New York, Seattle and New York, right? However, when people are saying it very fast, you will not really hear this "you" sound. You will just simply hear "or," "up" or "man," like you and me, Seattle or New York, okay, laptop or iPhone, right? However, if you want to be very particular, then there's "you" sound here, "ow" versus "or," which is basically nothing but when you say or versus "or." So I don't know how if you will pronounce AUR versus OR, the mineral, right? I mean, in this particular case, you'll probably have this sound, U sound. So I hope this is clear. Whereas this one is like, the example would be आपकी or towards you, मेरी or towards me. Let me know if this is not clear. Okay. So niche is correct. Another question was like, when I say niche, when I say niche, well, maybe you can pronounce it as niche as well, which is very good catch. But you can, if this is basically getting unclear, you can write it like this: niche, niche, right? So that's a good catch actually, because it can be pronounced either ways. Again, there's a difference between how Hindi works versus English works. English, it can be pronounced like, for example, there is no way we can call it something else. They sound in like in Hindi, this sound will always be me. But in English, this versus this, it can be totally different basically, based on depending upon what you have ahead of, like, what you have after that, right? So good catch. You can, if it is not clear, just write it as Nietzsche, N-E-E-C-H-E, Nietzsche. Good question. So let's get going. Let's go to the next section of directions, basically. Second set of directions. In the second set, I have, it's very like the common directions that we have, basically north, south, east, and west. Most of the time when you talk to people, they'll always be using north, south, east, and west. However, because the class is about vocabulary, you should learn about the Hindi words for these as well, right? So when we say north, we are saying uttar, uttar. So you have u, which is our uh, vowel here, and then you have a t with like a line on top of t. We have not covered this kind of, like, formation yet, but as of now, just stick with me. Utta and then ra. And this is nothing but like a special formation here when you have half the and a full the right next to it. You can replace it with a the and then like a small stand on the basically. So half the and the can be replaced with the with like a a tile on top of the right, and you call it uttar. Uttar means north. Okay, you can say वॉशिंगटन डीसी के उत्तर में न्यूयॉर्क है और वॉशिंगटन डीसी के और यूएस के उत्तर में कनाडा है राइट, और इंडिया के उत्तर में चाइना है. So I want you to pause here, take one example, like what's the country on the north, like northern side of your country, right? So you can simply say uh, like Canada के north में North Pole है, or let's say Africa के north में Europe है. So I want to take you to take a pause here and then at least say one sentence to yourself to clarify or to use north, right? This one is a bit difficult, but it'll be. I'll write it down. So it's basically dakshin, dakshin, dakshin. So it's the sh with e and then na, na. So remember we learned about consonant. There's a difference between na and na, right? So in this particular case, we use dakshin, right? Again, नॉर्थ अमेरिका के दक्षिण में साउथ अमेरिका है. भारत के और इंडिया के दक्षिण में श्रीलंका है. I want you to come with more examples. यूरोप के दक्षिण में अफ्रीका है, राइट, और चाइना के दक्षिण में इंडिया है. So take a pause and at least think of one sentence where you can use this keyword dakshin. East, it's purav or purv. Purv. And what you have is like pa with u, and there is a r before va, right? So whenever you have this kind of thing, you write va and then you make a, because it's halfway, you make a c on top of va. Purv. Okay, पूर्व. अमेरिका के पूर्व में यूरोप है, इंडिया के पूर्व में बांग्लादेश है, राइट. यूरोप के पूर्व में एशिया है. वेस्ट इज पश्चिम, पश्चिम, पश्चिम. So you have a pa with half sh, and then you have a ch, and then ma, paschim, paschim. If it is difficult to read, you can feel free to read the Romanagri part of it. Paschim, paschim. Okay. Same as before. You can practice it like यूरोप के पश्चिम में नॉर्थ अमेरिका है. Okay. Think of more examples like इंडिया के पश्चिम में पाकिस्तान है और अफगानिस्तान है, right? So I'll let you work on some more examples, but again the idea here is like in all the directions we have north, south, east and west, uttar, dakshin, purav and paschim, right? So I hope the second set of vocabulary is clear. I'll take a quick pause to see if there are any questions on this particular set. So very good. England के उत्तर में. So when you are using it, so you'll use it with the post position. उत्तर में, and this is you're using this में, उत्तर में, okay. दक्षिण में, so it's correct. Just use one more postposition along with the directions. उत्तर में, ताइपे के दक्षिण में ताइनान है. So just use it with a postposition again here. उत्तर में, कोडाईकनाल के उत्तर में चेन्नई है. Very good. So I hope all of you are getting the sense of it. I'm going to just write one example so that way it's you have it written down as well. इंडिया के उत्तर में चाइना है. Right? You can write it as like भारत के उत्तर में. If you remember, China is Cheen in Hindi. Right? भारत भारत के उत्तर में चीन है. Okay. I hope this is clear. Let's go to the next section of this vocabulary. Now, having learned all these vocabulary words, now if you go and read the lyrics of the song, it will be much clearer, because what the guy is saying, he works in a circus, the guy who's singing this song, in this case, and he's saying like, "ए bhai, zara dekh ke chalo." So basically, which means like, pay attention while you're walking. आगे भी नहीं पीछे भी. Not only you should look at the front, but behind you. Not only to your बाएं बाएं भी नहीं दाएं भी. Not only to your left, but also on your right hand side. ऊपर भी नहीं नीचे भी. Like not only above you, but also below you. Right. Uh, if time permits, I'll go into more detail of how they're using the directions, but at least you know the vocabulary words for the directions. Uh, Third part which I want to cover is demography that are covered in this song. Some of the demography we learned in the last class as well. There are some more which I want to cover it. So it says in the song, Gar is house or home. मेरा घर is like my house. आपका घर, your house. हमारा घर, our house. Right? गांव, गांव. गांव is village. Again, you can say मेरा गांव, my village. आपका गांव, your village. आपका गांव कहाँ है? Where is your village? Okay. और आपका गांव कौन सा है? Which one is your village? Right. Or as like Agnes asked me the question right before the class, if you want to say which village are you from, right? As opposed to which city are you from? You can also say आप कौन से गांव से हैं, okay? और आप कौन से शहर से हैं? Which city are you from? गली, गली. Gully is nothing but street. Street. So remember, when you write the address, you write it as like your top head, like the name, the number of your house, street number 1, street number 2, and then city, state, and zip code. Uh, Street is nothing but gully. Gully number 1, gully number 2. Right. So that's street. Okay. You can say मेरा घर मेरा घर इस गली में है. Okay, what it means is like when you say मेरा घर, my house. Okay, um, because you have a post position, when you say यह गली, this which means this street, यह गली, this street, but right after that you have a post position में, in, right, and because of that your यह becomes इस गली में है. My house is in this street. मेरा घर इस गली में है. Okay, so that's how you use gully in this sentence. Some more related with demography. Rasta. If you know about some of them, feel free to practice your skills and write them on the chat box as well. You have Ra, R with A, and then half Sir, and then Ta. Rasta is nothing but your way or route. So the way you use it is मेरे रास्ते में, on my route. मेरे रास्ते में, on my route. Okay, you can say मेरे रास्ते में temple है. There is a temple, in the route I am taking. Okay, or you can say, for example, if I'm going to New York City from Washington DC, I can say मेरे रास्ते में Baltimore है. Okay, or if you're going to your office and there's a particular station, like, and if you want to drop someone, you can say मेरे रास्ते में metro station है, right? So that's रास्ता. Next one we have is Basti. Basti. So you have a B, half sir, and then T. Basti. Basti is nothing but colony. So if you've been to India, or you'll probably see that there are small colonies in a particular area. Right? So they are also referred as Basti. Okay. Mostly used in, like, if there is a suburban area and there is a small colony there, I mean, I'm not able to come up with a name, but there are many colonies which will call it as, like, something Basti, right? And then the next word which is used in this song is dunya. Probably you must have heard of it. Dunya is very common. You probably must have come across this anyway. So dunya is the with who, and then ni, yeah, dunya. Dunya is world. Dunya is world. Okay. So these are the 6 demography related words that are used in this particular song. Just to repeat, is gaon, which is village, ghar, which is house, and they've used gully, which is street, and then rasta, which is on your route or way, basti, which is colony, and dunya, which is world. Dunya. Okay. There are other words also for dunya, but in this song they've used dunya, which is for the world. So I'll take a quick break after this third section to see if you have any questions here. You can write it down. If you have written it down, I'll probably address it as well. So feel free to write it down if you have any questions on on the third section where we are learning demography. Okay, so let's get going. We have plenty of things to cover in this particular class. It's a big song actually. It's very popular, not only in India, there are many, like, European countries as well as like in Russia. At one point, these songs were very popular. Especially like, the guy who is in the song, Raj Kapoor. He's very well known, among many other countries. Especially in 70s, he became very, very popular uh, uh, in many parts of the world where, Hindi cinema reached. Um, what I'll probably do in the interest of time, we don't have that much time, so I'm going to skip the adjectives that are in this class, and I'm going to cover adjectives in the next class, or if we have some time, left out. I'm going to cover in the fourth section, which is the ages that are discussed in this particular song. Right? So, basically, stages of life. So that's basically the fourth part I'm going to cover. Uh, there are three stages that are covered in this song: childhood, adulthood, and old age. So what I'm going to do is like I'm just going to give you the Hindi word for each of them. Right. The first one we have is bachpan. 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 It's very simple. The way you write it is like you write ba and then ch, pa and then na. Bachpan. Okay. Bachpan. Mera bachpan is like my childhood. Um, if you watched some of our previous videos, uh, Steve and I, we're talking about our childhood, like, and you can see the usage of this word in that particular video as well. So make a note of it. Once we are done with the class, feel free to go check out that video where Steve and I we're talking about childhood, right? And that's where you will see the use of this word, bachpan. Um, you can use these words when you're introducing yourself to someone else and when you're talking about your childhood. Right? Next one is adulthood, young age, right? Can also refer to as young age. Jawani, Jawani, and that's the word we have used here. So it's Jawani. Right? So again, the word is coming from Jawan. Jawan is young man. Jawan Admi is like a young man. Jawan Aurat is a young woman, right? So Jawan itself is basically, it means like, young, right? And then Javani, when you say Javani, that means like, it's adulthood, right? And then old age, you're using a budhapa, budhapa. So you have bu, ba with u, ra, and then pa, old age, budhapa. So those are the three stages that are covered in this song. If you can think of something else, I'm going to cover those vocabulary word as well. But it's good to remember at least these three, words, that are covered in this song. So the next section, any question I'll take it. Otherwise, I'll jump to the next section, which is basically nothing but relative pronoun. And I want to spend a good amount of time when we cover relative pronoun. This song is a very good example of how to use relative pronouns, and we've not covered in the past, in any of the videos before. So I'm excited about that. So please feel free to write them down, and then You can always come back and watch the video as well in case if you're not able to, write all of them down, or if you need a refresher on any of these words. So a quick question is like, is Budapa um, or related to is all related to the name Buddha to do with old people being wise? No, actually, it's nothing. It's nothing to do with Buddha. Buddha we write it a little differently. Um, when you write Buddha, it's basically old, right? Buddha. So when we write like Buddha pale, right? I mean, you can refer to it as like a for a tree also you can say Buddha. So I'll write it down as Buddha, Buddha pale, like old tree, right? You can write Buddha, Admi, old man, right? So that's how it is, right? I mean, the feminine would be basically Buri. Yeah, so that's basically, I think it's the other way around, Buri. So that's the feminine of Buddha. And then Budhe would be for plural, masculine plural, Budhe. So to repeat it again, it's Buddha, Budhi, and then Budhe. So the next section I'm going to cover, it's a very important one. It's nothing but a relative pronoun. I think it's very important concept, and I hope So basically, what we are doing is like we're trying to relate two clauses which share the same common word. So relate two clauses which share a common word. Okay, that's basically the idea behind relative pronoun. Um, so basically, just to give you an example, when you say the man standing there, let's say you have a sentence, and right now after that you have the man is governor of Maryland. I just made it up, right? Uh, One way would be that you say both of them separately, right? Um, Other one would be that you say it in a little different manner. You say the man. The other way would be basically you say the man who is standing there is basically governor of Maryland, right? So what you've done is like you've used who to basically combine both these sentences. And who in this case is nothing but a relative pronoun. Now the question is, how do you use who in Hindi? Right? Does it follow the same rules as you have in English, or is it different? right? Um, what are the differences? So principally, it's the same thing. Principally, you're using relative pronoun in English also. You're using who here, right? However, one fundamental difference. Uh, so in English, you used who in this case as well, and in English you use who is the man, who is that man, right? So in English, you in both the scenarios you're using who, right? In Hindi, it's different. In Hindi, when you're saying this kind of question, when you're asking who is that man, so in this case you will say kaun, वह कौन है. However, in Hindi, when we are using a relative pronoun, it will be basically, it will not be kaun. This who, the same who in Hindi will be jo, jo. So that's a fundamental difference between how Hindi works versus English works. So now let's go over some of the examples of using who or as a relative pronoun. Okay, so I'm gonna simply say I'm gonna use in a very simple fashion. Boy who is singing, and you may want to use whatever after that. If you simply say boy is singing, you say ladka गा रहा है, लड़का गा रहा है. Now let's say you want to use who as well, you know so you can say वह लड़का जो गा रहा है, the boy there who is singing, and then you can say is my relative. Okay, वह लड़का जो गा रहा है, he is my relative, or he is a musician as well, right? So that's how you will use it here. So you can also say लड़का जो बोल रहा है. Same thing basically. I'm just trying to use multiple examples to make you understand the concept. लड़का जो बोल रहा है, the boy who is like talking, uh, he is a let's say a scientist, right? Or he is a prodigy, right? Um, so basically, the idea here is like you should be able to use a relative pronoun and able to combine two sentences. And exercise here is like I want you to take two simple sentences, right, and then use them, right? And I can give you a small sentence if you cannot come up with it. Come up with anything, like a girl who is um, playing guitar. The girl is my sister. So I want you to translate that into Hindi. Right? The girl who is playing guitar, the girl is my sister. I want you to translate it into Hindi by using a relative pronoun. Okay. Now this is about using zo. Okay. What about the other relative pronouns? So I'm gonna cover that now, right? I hope this is clear, how to use so. Now, what about other scenarios, right? The boy, let's say the boy who has a car, is rich, let's say, right? How do you use this who in Hindi, right? Uh, so basically, the way you will say is you'll not use jo, because this time you're talking about possessing something, right? So you'll say जिसके पास जिसके पास कार है जिसके पास कार है लड़का जिसके पास कार है वह रिच है और वह अमीर है. सो जिसके पास कार है, ओके, और जिसके पास घर है और जिसके पास just have one more example, लैपटॉप है. Okay, so that's how you'll be using it. You'll be using jiska. Now, similarly, this is jiske pass, right? I mean, now, how do you use, like, if you're using it in a different context? Because remember, we had three post position. We had ka, we had k, and ki. And depending upon how what you're using after jiska, whether it's masculine or feminine, you can the jiska will be changed to jiske and jiski. Okay, so let's take a quick example of those as well, and then we'll wrap it up. So another example I'll take is like the boy who this car belongs to, is from France. Okay. Who this car belongs to is from France. So let's just take this part of the sentence. Okay. Who this car belongs to? लड़का जिसकी कार. So car is feminine. That's why you use jiski car, right? You can use jiski bike for, like, because car is sorry, because bike is also feminine. Jiski bike. Okay. Um, जिसकी university, right? University is also considered feminine, right? Now for feminine plural also you will be using jiski, right? Now let's talk about, so this is for both feminine, singular and plural. You will be using jiski. Right now, jiska we already learned, but I'm going to quickly write them down as well. Right? If you were to use masculine singular, it will be jiska uh, bag, jiska laptop, or jiska what we learned uh, just now in the earlier example, जिसका घर, right? Whose. So far I've not given you the meaning, but here when you're saying jiska, essentially we're talking about whose, right? Right. Now, what about these are plural? So this is for masculine singular. जिसका bag, जिसका laptop, जिसका घर. But what if they were like plural, such as bags, laptops, and घर, right? In this case, what you'll do is like you'll replace ka with k, जिसके bags, जिसके laptops, जिसके घर, right? So a company, um, so a company is nothing but like a firm I'm referring to. Company जिसके laptops famous है. I'm going to write a simple example. कंपनी जिसके लैपटॉप फेमस है, उसका नाम एप्पल है. So this is how you'll be using it in a sentence. Okay. I hope this is clear. What we've learned in this last like 10 minutes, how to use jo, how to use jiska, jiski, and jiske. I know we are a little bit over time, but I'll take a last one, and then I'm gonna wrap it up. The last one is jaisa. Jaisa is, we have covered it in the earlier classes, but because it's there in the song, I'm gonna cover it. Jaisa is nothing but like, right? And similar to jaisa, you can have jaisi and jaise, depending upon. For masculine singular is jaisa. For feminine, so I'm gonna write it masculine singular. For feminine singular and feminine plural, it's jaisi, and jaise would be for masculine plural, right? And I'll give you an example to tell you what I mean by that, right? So somebody, if somebody finds you similar to like one of their friend, right? So आपके जैसा, someone like you. So we are looking for a person, आपके जैसा, someone like you, or you look just like your face look like, let's say, Shah Rukh Khan. So Shah Rukh Khan jaisa, right? Or Raj Kapoor jaisa, right? So that's basically look alike or jaisa, right? You can also use आपके जैसी, because in this case you're referring to like a girl, right? I mean, we need an employee, or we need like a strong, programmer, like how, right? So आपके जैसी, someone who look like you or someone who can work like you, आपके जैसी. And then जैसे, I'm going to give a simple example, उनके जैसे, like them, like them. So आपके जैसी is like her or like you in this case. आपके जैसा is also like you, right? So let's say your manager comes to you and he's giving you example of like the team B is working really hard, right? We need to work like them, right? So in this case you'll say उनके जैसे, we have to work उनके जैसे, so we have to work like them, right? I know I rushed to this part of Jessa, Jesse, and Jesse. We can probably come back again if you have any questions on it, but feel free to ask me any questions you may have. You can write them down on the chat box or on the YouTube comment as well. So folks who are watching online, thank you so much for joining this class. I hope you found it useful. Again, we used one particular song as a basis, which is bhai, zara, dekh, chalo. We're going to use a lot more Hindi songs because I think it's a one good way to learn Hindi vocabulary. And I'm going to segment them into different sections, right? So you will learn a variety of Hindi vocabulary. Along with that, we'll take some grammar also, which is used in that song, right? So that way, it's basically helpful for you. So again, I folks who are watching online, I encourage you to watch this song again, find out the lyrics, and underline all the lyrics or the vocabulary words we have learned so far in this particular video, and see if it is making more sense now. I'll take your recommendations as well. If you have something you want to you want me to cover in the upcoming lessons, I already have received some good response from people, so I'm going to use those on as well. So with that, I'm going to open it up for discussion. I'm going to stop broadcasting. So